Kia ora te iwi. Ko Jayson Herewini tēnei. Hey, look, I just wanted to share a little bit of a whakaaro with you because my life had gone through a couple of real traumatic experiences this year. First of all, my 4-year relationship came to a sudden end in January this year, and that really took me by surprise. Just really shook the world that I live in. And then a couple of weeks after that, I had a heart attack. And during my heart attack season, my 4-year relationship had gone back to a previous boyfriend. So she left me for another man, in other words. And that really wrecked everything that was going on for me. Anyway, my kōrero today is I want to talk to you about how separation can either break you or rebuild you. And I've decided that my separation is going to rebuild me. And in my decision making, I've come up with a framework that I've used to help me move forward with peace and harmony, because my wahine, she came into my life for a reason. And so this whole kōrero isn't about attacking her and her choices and her decision making and her reconciliation with her ex-partner that she, I should say, according to what she told me, he abandoned her about 10 years ago. So this isn't about them. This is about what I've been doing to help me heal through this process. And out of that, I have come to, I built a little bit of a framework where I needed to stabilize my foundations first. And so in order for me to stabilize myself, I started to focus on my physical health first. Then I looked at my sleep, the kai I'm eating, gentle exercise and routine, because I'm a creature of habit. I'm ex-military, and as a result of that, we're ingrained to follow routine. And so I have been out of the services now for over 20 years. However, those skills have not left me. And in my darkest hour, I called on those skills, that knowledge, that experience, that routine to help me through this phase of my life. So I started to learn more about, like I said earlier, my heart attack. And in my discovery, I realized that as a type 2 diabetic, there were some underlying features to do with my diabetes that were responsible for my heart attack as well. And so if your body is unstable, this is what I've discovered. If the body is unstable and the mind is unstable, then before I could fix anything else in my life, I needed to focus on stabilizing myself first. Hence the reason my first part of my framework was around stabilizing my foundation. And then during those early stages, those early days, those early weeks of me being in hospital while having a heart attack, I started to think about, what was my beautiful long-term partner, who I was hoping to be my life partner at that point in time, doing. And I was asking myself all of these dumb questions. And they were questions like, why? Why did she leave me to go to him? Was I not good enough? All of those dumb questions, those unhelpful questions. So what came out of that is I started to realize that I can only control what I can control. And that meant my toki whakaaro, my thinking. And so because of that, I then started to change and reframe what I was thinking of. I had no control over who she sees, who she talks to, who she's sleeping with today. I have no control over that. I can only control how I respond to those thoughts. That's where my mana sits, and that's where my power sits. I can only focus on becoming healthier and better instead of angry and bitter. And so I started to put my energy into things that are moving my life forward. And so I stopped trying to control the outcomes and I started focusing on controlling my actions, which then I discovered my second part of my framework, which was controlling what I can control. Now, in those first early weeks, and like I said, we broke up in January, my birthday was in February, and so there was a lot of ruminating between the breakup date, my birthday, and pre-plans that we had before the breakup. And, I had good days, I had bad days where I would slip back into unhelpful thinking, and then I'd pull myself up out of it, and then on a good day I'm up, but on a bad day I'm back down again. However, what I then realised is that my my emotional decisions means that the way that I was reacting to that pain, instead of reacting to my emotional decisions first and fast, I learned to pause for a moment before I started to respond. And silence is an answer too, by the way, brothers. You don't have to engage straight away, And I discovered that in my no contact and in my wanting to fire off texts when I found out about her going back to her ex-partner just 2 weeks after. In fact, there was a bit of a pattern that she set up before she actually left me. And that pattern was she put me on silent mode, meaning we don't live in the same town too, by the way, brothers. Our relationship over the past 4 years has been a long-distance relationship where I would travel to her, which is about 300 kilometres away, and she would travel to me. But we did that regularly, We would do that fortnight about. I would go one weekend, and because it was her weekend the following weekend, that's a fortnight about, and then I'd have 2 weeks. 2 weeks my side, 2 weeks her side. It meant we were spending a lot of time together. And we were building a quite a loving, caring, honest relationship, because one thing she said to me, and I believe her to this very day, is that she was loyal. As far as I am concerned, there was no other woman that mattered in my life. She was the only one I had eyes for. She is the only woman that I was able to be vulnerable to and in front of, and I offered up my heart to her, and she held my heart. And hence the reason when she dropped the bomb on me and I discovered about her hidden affair, that really hurt, to be honest with you, bros. And I had all of these dark, bitter, angry emotions firing at her, etc., etc. But when I started to reframe things, I started to feel healthier in myself. I started to accept our relationship was over. What are we? We're in May now, or April now, I should say. And so, that's January, February, March, April, 4 months. There's still no wahine. Well, there's no wahine in my bed, There's a wahine or two hanging around my wheelhouse. But right now, I'm not one of those brothers where they say, bro, if you want to get over her, get on top of someone else or something like that, or along those lines. That's not who I am. I wanted to fix myself internally, deal with my healing, deal with my trauma, and I have been doing that because I know I deserve better than where I've just come from. I also know there's a beautiful wahine out there somewhere that's doing the same healing right now at this point in time, and when we connect, we are both ready to join and unite in our energy, sexually, emotionally, physically, and we will be each other's life partners. And I know that, and I firmly believe she is probably closer than I think, because there, like I said, I've got wahine hanging around the wheelhouse, but I'm just not interested in these wahine. And that's not to say that if I was thinking with my second brain, brothers, you can't fix stupid in that second brain, I would have jumped into bed with these two women probably last month, But I've chosen not to do that because it's not fair on them. It's not fair on me. I've got two tamariki that I'm a rangatira for and a papa for, and it's not fair on them and it's not fair on my mokopuna, because what I've discovered out of my past relationship, my 4-year relationship, is that not only did that wahine leave me and abandon me, but she got close to my children. And my sons loved her because she provided an emotional gap that their own birth mother didn't provide for them. And I'm not running their birth mum down. I'm just saying that their own birth mother didn't. There was a gap in the emotional support that the boys needed, and that wahine provided that to my boys, and they too feel they're going through some stuff as well, bros. So I've got to make sure that I'm stabilised so that I can lead them through that trauma too, eh? One thing I love about my boys, and I think they've picked this up from our relationship, and I'll say our relationship. My eldest son, who's 13, he's got a girlfriend. Obviously, they're not sexual or anything like that, but the way that boy honours his girlfriend, I'm proud, eh? Because he's obviously seen how I treated my ex-partner, and as a result of that, he's mirroring what Dad's been doing, eh? Based on the past. And I know that because my younger son's friends at his school had told me, Mato, we'd seen Tamea and his girlfriend at McDonald's, and he is such a gentleman because she had something on her mouth, and he got a tissue and he wiped it. And that made me, that type of feedback made me proud, because my son had seen me doing that in my past relationships for my beautiful wahine. So, you know, those things for us as tēnei ma is really, really important. Now, if you're a wahine looking at this video feedback, please understand that whatever the relationship is like between you and your baby daddy, if you're separated, if you let your baby daddy into your baby's life, your daughter could meet a tēnei like my son, where he will wipe the food from her mouth and treat her honourably. In order for him to treat her honourably, tēnei ma, we have to show love and aroha towards our baby mama, no matter how difficult that is. Because trust me, it's easy to dislike them, and it's easy to throw rage and anger and all of those nasty things towards your baby mama. I know, bros. I know personally. They make it hard for us to love them when we're under attack. But if there's one piece of advice that I'd love to offer up to you, tēnei ma, as part of my healing, put our swords down. Put our weapons down when it comes to our baby mama. Now, I'm sharing that because if it wasn't for my baby mama, I've got 4 tamariki, and I acknowledge them. My eldest, I've still got aroha for her. Not sexual love when I use that word aroha. I'm talking unconditional love for the way that she has allowed me to make my own dumb choices, watching our eldest girl grow up. Now that I'm older, and now that I've come out the other end of my discovery, and I think my wahine that came into my life, I'm not going to mention her name because I don't have her name, permission to mention her name. But that wahine, I think she came into my life to help me get to this stage where I can live in peace and harmony with my baby mamas, especially one baby mama in particular. Actually, these 2 baby mamas. So I've got 4 tamariki to 3 different wahine. My eldest child, she's 33. I've got her mother. And then there's her baby brother, he'd be 31 this year. His mum. That's mother number 2. And then my last 2 baby mamas. That's baby mama number 3. And apart from number 1, the matriarch herself, his mother, I've had a pretty disconnected traumatic experience with those two mamas. And I think this last relationship has helped me identify, it's one of the reasons why she came into my life, is to help me identify peace when it comes to working with baby mama number 2 and number 3. There's a difference between forgiveness and forgetting. I forgive them, but I'm in no great hurry to spend 24/7 with them like we're close friends, if that makes sense. So, and that includes my last separation. Anyway, brothers, I'm sharing this cordial with you in the hope that it helps you, because it brings me back to what I was saying before. If we can park the crazy for a moment, and I'm speaking to mum and dad, if we can park the crazy for a moment, the hurt, the anger, the frustration, park that, put that to the side, and just have an open, peaceful conversation about how can we co-parent our children positively. Because it doesn't just happen between now and when they turn 16 either, brothers. Co-parenting, our children are watching and observing us 24/7. I know because they were watching me and how I managed my heart attack and how I managed this last separation. And so I needed to lead my boys through a time of trauma. And I'm thankful that I did. Because I am seeing my sons grow into young, well-rounded men. And as a result, my eldest son, the way he treats his girlfriend, it makes me as a dad proud. And if my future daughter-in-law, and I'll say it that way because I do have friends in my wheelhouse that were like my son and his girlfriend. They met when they were 13, they're 55 today, and they're still together. So who knows what tomorrow brings. All we can do is support them in the hope that they don't hurt each other along the way. And so I'm sharing that because if, like, that girl's dad and that girl's mum, they have so much aroha for my boy that he probably walks her home. At least it takes him about an hour, 15 minutes to walk from his school to her house and back home again. So he walks her home every day after school. They spend a lot of time together. Gets there, if her father's there, he drops my son off. If her mum's there, she drops my son off. And as a result of that, it's the same on our side. Now, my son, because, and I don't want to get into this too deep, because I've currently got full day-to-day care of my children. But I'm well aware, as part of my healing, and this took place probably, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess. Anyway, I started to talk to mum. We started to work a little bit better on how we can positively co-parent. My eldest then asked me, might have been last year, I think it was, if he could spend more time at mum's house. And I agreed. And now, we're now at a stage there where he happily goes home to mum. And he just comes home to me because he knows that our house is his house and he can come home anytime he likes. And so he walks back to mum's, is what I'm saying. And when mum's there, she will take our daughter-in-law, and I'm saying it that way, our daughter-in-law home. Or if mum's not there and it's raining, he'll ring me, and then I'll drive around to mum's and I'll pick them up and we'll drop them off. Now, I'm sharing that because when his baby brother looks at how his big brother is treating women, because his baby brother's got a lot of trauma there, eh? And he used to have this mentality because of the hurt placed upon him by mum. And I'm not blaming mum here, but I'm just giving you a bit of background. He didn't resonate too well with girls. And in our family, we have a kaupapa here where I always said to the boys when they were really, really young, and I dropped them off to school, enjoy your day, I love you, don't forget, be good, be kind, be nice. No hurting yourselves, no hurting others, no hurting things, and no hurting animals. And I'd say that every day when I dropped them off to school. But because of the trauma and the age, etc., my son, my youngest son, he had no filter when it comes to hurting. He would hurt, physically hurt, and he didn't care whether you were a girl or a boy. If you hurt him, then he'll hurt you back. That was his whole thinking. Well, what I've noticed out of this episode for the last 2 years, 3 years, my son is thinking, the youngest one, he's thinking more about how he responds to when people hurt him through words. And then he has really grown, and I believe he's come around the corner and showing a lot of aroha and respect towards females. And I use the word females, that includes girls and female teachers, because him and I are close. He has a lot of respect for males in my family. He has a lot of respect for his aunties, but the moment that mum clashes with him, that all goes out the door. He has no respect for his mother. And so we're repairing that. I'm assisting with the repair work in that, hence the reason my youngest son also fell in love with my partner that's no longer in our lives. And I remember him saying to me, only about a month ago, Dad, when such and such broke up with you, she also broke up with me. And it feels strange that we're now in her hometown where she lives, Dad, and she doesn't even want to see me. And I said, well, what do you mean by that, son? Obviously, he'd reached out to her. And obviously, she had said that she didn't want to see him. So, he's only 11 years old, and he didn't understand that. And, I had to help him through that trauma. And so I'm sharing that part with you, brothers. If you're a single dad, please, this is my own whakaaro, please protect our baby's peace and energy as well. So there we go, whānau. My name's Jayson Herewini. I just wanted to share a little bit of a kōrero with you around my separation and how it could break or rebuild you. I'm hoping that if you have good days and bad days, some of the tips that I talked about, stabilizing your foundations first and control what only you can control. You can control your outcomes. Focus on controlling your outcomes. Stop focusing on controlling your outcomes and focus more on your actions. And always remember that not every message requires an immediate reply. Here we go, brothers. I love yous. Bless you. May God continually look over you and help you grow. And may God continually look over you and help you become a better man for yourself, for your children. And if you're in separation from your baby mama, for your baby mama as well. God bless.